So if you guys have been following the news at all throughout the day, you will have seen Manchester United being heavily linked with Michael Olise, and this has got a lot of people excited. Should Manchester United sign him? What would he bring to the team? Is he better than Antony? All of that gossip, so I thought today I would try and bring a bit of clarity. Because I have been watching Olise a lot this season, I still need to watch him more. However, I have already done a lot of research into this player. Now what we're going to do today, rather than purely looking at his strengths and weaknesses, we're going to look at more of a tactical fit of how he would fit in at Manchester United. If you want more of a video on strengths, attributes as a player, I have already uploaded that. I'll leave it linked either at the top of the screen or in the description down below, so make sure to go check that out afterwards. If you don't want to check out that video, I can bring you a quick brief breakdown of some of his strengths and weaknesses, and I can do this using DataMB. Now DataMB is a football stat website or an app which you guys can get completely for free, or you can pay for the premium version, which allows you to do things like this: make graphs, compare players from all around the world. So I highly recommend that you download DataMB. Again, there will be a link in the description down below. But what we've got here is a graph. Premier League wingers. At the bottom here we've got dribbles per 90, and up the side we've got crosses per 90. Now you can see right up in the top right corner is Jeremy Doku, who is just absolutely absurd. But just above me we've got Olise, ranking as probably the second most complete winger in the league when it comes to crosses per 90, but also dribbles per 90. And then over here, the pink dot is Antony. So we can see Olise is a better dribbler and a better crosser, or he certainly attempts these two things much more than what Antony does, which is impressive considering he plays in a side with less possession. We can also compare him to Antony with a graph like this. We've got Antony in the green, Olise in the blue. We can see that Olise is having a much better season, a much more complete season than what Antony is currently. But also, I think it's important to make the physical comparison as well, because actually stylistically they do have some similar traits. However, Olise is about 10 centimeters taller than Antony, and also has a much bigger frame, much bigger upper body, and much stronger upper body, making him a much more physical player than what Antony is. So whilst they might share some technical traits, Olise is almost the more physical version of Antony, and almost the more Premier League suited version. So those are some of his strengths and weaknesses. Again, if you want to see more of that, there will be a video linked down below. But now it's time to talk about a tactical fit, because for me there are 4 or 5 key tactical things which Olise would bring to this side, which would drastically help Manchester United. So the first thing Olise would bring to this side is defensive work rate. Playing in a Roy Hodgson Crystal Palace side which averages about 42% possession, Olise is used to not having the ball, and therefore having to sit off, get behind the ball, be in a compact unit, whether that be in a 4-4-2, a 4-5-1, even at times tracking all the way back into a wing-back position to try and win the ball back. Olise is very hard working from a defensive point of view, and I think it's a side of his game which is underappreciated. And now, having praised him for his defensive work, I still don't think he's perfect. I think he could use work with his intelligence, but he is still only 22 years old, so I think that's completely fair. He does just have one habit defensively which I don't like, and that is actually when he loses the ball higher up, he has his split second where he kind of sulks, and then remembers he needs to win the ball back. Of course, that doesn't help a counter-pressing team, so that's something which would need to be sorted in his game. But in terms of mentality, work rate, defensive ability, it is all there. There's definitely something you can work with. So defensively, I think he would be a good plus for the size, particularly with that physicality. Now, that's the boring stuff out of the way, which you guys may not be as interested in. Time to talk about the attacking threat. And having done the defensive work, won the ball back for his side, Olise is really good on the counter-attack. Now this is an area which Antony currently struggles with, because he doesn't have the passing range to be particularly expansive and play forward, but he also doesn't have the physicality or the power to carry the ball. Now Olise is in the same boat a little bit with the ball carrying. He can carry the ball forward, he's stronger, got better stride length, so he is better than Antony in this way. However, his actual go-to on the counter-attack is to use his passing game. That can be short, sharp passing, combination play in the middle of the pitch to move the ball quickly forward, or he has this one trademark which I really like, cutting inside onto his left foot in this deep position, drawing someone onto him, and then playing a really long direct ball forward. And he's actually unbelievably good at this. This is almost a bit of a trademark of Olise on the counter-attack at this point. That could work really well with United. We know that defensively United tend to leave Marcus Rashford a little bit higher up the pitch. So if you were to have someone like Olise on this side of the pitch winning the ball back and then playing long to either Marcus Rashford or Rasmus Højlund on the counter-attack, that could be a really good way of making United better in the transition, something which we know Erik ten Hag wants to do. And we have got a couple of clips of this. So let's head over here. So, we've got Olise here on the right-hand side. Sorry that it's a bit squished, but he's got the ball on the right-hand side. He cuts in onto his left foot, and his first thing he wants to do is play the ball direct and long over the top. Now, this is just going to be a very brief little clip here, but we can see, how good his passing is. We can see the situation he went from in this sort of area of the pitch here, halfway in his own half, to suddenly one pass and it has set his striker free on the counter-attack. That could be really useful. Again, imagine Rasmus Højlund or Marcus Rashford running onto this. It's definitely a weapon which he could use. There's another clip of it here. So again, he gets the ball on the right-hand side. He wants to cut inside, shape onto his left foot, and then play the long ball forward. Now on this occasion, he actually plays a long ball on the same side as what he is playing. So this is more to a striker rather than a far side winger. But again, we can see how good he is with this long passing. And if you actually go back and watch the first video I done on Olise, you will see that I highlighted his FB ref report, the amount of switches he played per 90 minutes. It makes him really good on the counter-attack, and that's a brilliant tactical fit. Another reason why I think Olise could be a really good tactical fit for Manchester United is actually because at times we're a little bit unsure of what Manchester United's tactics are. So for example, when we talk about Manchester City, we always see a centre-back step into midfield. When we talk about Arsenal, we always see a full-back move into midfield. When we talk about Liverpool, you know what you're going to get from Trent, what you're going to get from Salah. With Manchester United, it's a little bit more unpredictable, and that's because Ten Hag uses quite a fluid system. But I actually think Olise suits that because he can play inside or he can play outside. He can be creative, or starting this season, he can now be a goal-scoring threat in the final third. So let's say, for example, United were to recruit the players in the summer, which asks for a system like this, where the left back tucks in into a back three, Lisandro Martinez in the middle, right centre back here, United attack in this sort of shape. Olise is more than capable of playing this sort of role, moving inside onto his left foot. He absolutely loves it. He thrives in these areas, in these tight pockets. This is probably the ideal situation for him. However, let's say in another move, United were to change shape, which again Ten Hag loves to do, Olise could suit that. So let's say this time Luke Shaw moves further forward, Rashford comes inside on the other side, and our back three is now going to shift across like this. Now Olise is tasked with providing the width on the right hand side. Again, he can do this. I do think he prefers to be inside the pitch, however he is developing his outside game, his ability to go round the outside using his right foot. Now again, he doesn't have the pace and power of some of the best wingers in the world, which could be a concern. However, what he does have is brilliant upper body strength. So he's able to knock the ball past his opponent and then get in line with his opponent and then lean on them. When Antony or even Garnacho go into these situations, they just get bumped off the ball 9 times out of 10. But Olise has brilliant upper body strength to protect the ball, which makes him an effective dribbler. And we've seen already in the stats, in terms of his dribbling, he is a massive threat. He loves to take the ball forward and he loves to attack these teams. But I think this is tactical versatility, which could be really useful. He can play wide on the right, he can play tucked inside a little bit, and we know that Ten Hag wants that. Constant rotations in his team. So that is another tactical box which Olise ticks, which I would argue Antony doesn't really do. Now, having got into these advanced positions, Olise is always alive in the final third, and again, straight away, I think that is something which United currently lack. The attack can often be quite stale, nothing really happening, a lot of players standing still, or passing the ball when they're watching their own pass. Olise, like we were discussing with Ahmad the other day, isn't that sort of player. So first of all, he's a player who wants to play pass and move football. So he will release the ball, then he'll make a run off the ball to try and get the ball back. But what I particularly like, again, is a certain little habit and a trait which I've really picked up on this season. And this is why, again, in that first video I done, I said, let me watch him even more before I talk to you guys about him. Because what we are seeing is a trademark, and that is cutting inside onto his left foot before playing a reverse ball. That can be to a striker, someone like Rasmus Højlund into this area here, or it can be to an on-rushing midfielder. Now, of course, tactically, the important thing here would be for United to get the right profiles around him to allow that to happen. Is that going to be an underlapping fullback into the final third, like this? If so, Olise can absolutely work with that. He can do that brilliantly. Or is it going to be someone like Casemiro or Scott McTominay making these driving runs forward? Is it the responsibility of a Bruno Fernandes or a Mason Mount? Or, like I've said already, is it the striker? Not too sure. It would be interesting to see how Erik ten Hag would work it. But this is definitely something Olise would bring to the side from a tactical point of view. His combination play in the final third is really good. He's really good in tight spaces, really good at protecting the ball, but also, like I said, bringing others into the game. He doesn't force it if he doesn't think the pass is on. He's not one of these players which just lumps it for the sake of it. He's really methodical, but really creative in the final third. 11 assists last season in the Premier League, the most ever by a Crystal Palace player in a Premier League season. Olise, creatively in the final third, is absolutely brilliant. And that also includes crosses. What do Manchester United not do anywhere near enough? Cross the ball into the box, into the penalty area, into the danger area, particularly with someone like Rasmus Højlund up front, who we know is a fox in the box. He is a poacher. He is always active in and around the penalty spot, making runs off the back of the opponent. The problem at United is no one ever crosses to him. Rashford's not really a creative forward. Garnacho wants to score rather than create all the time, and Antony just isn't particularly good at football, it seems. Bruno Fernandes, even at the moment, doesn't seem to be a player which crosses the ball into the box that much. Luke Shaw is the only player which really does it with much regularity. Olise would solve that. No one in the Premier League attempts as many crosses as this guy. He is always looking to get the ball into the penalty area, whether that be from set pieces, which he is absolutely incredible at, or in open play. He's got this brilliant ability to cut inside onto his left foot. So he starts wide, cuts inside onto his left foot, and then puts these crosses into the box, which are actually quite difficult to describe. They're not whipped in with real pace, but they're also not floated in. They are just pinpoint with accuracy. The way he finds a striker or a box-crashing midfielder on the other side of the box is just absolutely incredible. His crossing into the final third is so good, and if Rasmus Højlund could strike up a partnership with him and understanding with him, that could be really beneficial for United. Or again, it could be a box-crashing midfielder, someone like Scott McTominay, or perhaps a new midfielder coming into the club. Again, Olise ticks a lot of boxes. Now, like I've said already, Olise is a player which I've been watching a lot this season and doing a lot of research. However, I am not fully finished doing my research. Can I see why Erik ten Hag and Manchester United would want him? Absolutely. There are so many good traits as a player. I've really been impressed by him this season. Since his return from injury, he's been absolutely brilliant. He is a joy to watch. Make sure you watch him. Really very good. However, for me, it's still just a little bit too early to sit here and say, absolutely, Manchester United should go and sign him. So what I'm going to do, and what I recommend you do, is keep watching him throughout the second half of the season. I reckon he would cost £60 to £65 million in the summer, so if you are going to sign him, it has to be right. So I'm going to keep watching him. I recommend that you guys do the same. But hopefully now, with the 2 videos combined which I've done on him, you understand his strengths and weaknesses as a player, his best attributes, but also his tactical fit, and ultimately why I think Manchester United want to sign him this summer. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and also while you're there, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I really want to hit 22,000 subscribers by the end of the month, by the end of January. I think you guys could help with that. So please do subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed this content. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.